I figured I would make a video where I just cover some of the most impactful purchases I made when it comes to things like productivity or self-improvement. So let's just get right into it. The first item on the list is this thing here called a kitchen safe. It is this little box where you can put in things and then you just can lock it with like a timer from a minute to 7 days or something. It is a bit expensive compared to what it is because it's mostly just a hunk of plastic with this locking mechanism, but it costs like $60. But at least for me, one of the main uses I have for them is that I kind of prevent myself from making impulse purchases or stuff like that. And in that sense, they more than pay for themselves. I actually have several of these. Like you can see, I have a smaller one here. And then I actually have several of these bigger ones because I often end up having like a tiered release system of like different times of the day or different times of the week where something gets released. I made a video a while back about breaking addictions or bad habits, and these were kind of featured there. I will link to that video here. I'm not actually sure which side these show up on, so I'll just keep pointing here and assume that's the right side. Another item is this dumb phone. It's some Nokia 200 something. I'm not sure exactly of the serial number, but I will link in the description. There's basically two main reasons why I got this phone. One is, as I mentioned, I like to kind of lock things away in these kitchen safes. One of the things I like to lock away is my ability to make impulse purchases. And basically what I have to do then is lock away my smartphone because there's so many different ways I can pay for things with my smartphone. But then not having access to my phone is quite problematic in case a phone call comes in or I need to do some like two-factor authentication. So that's one reason why I have this dumb phone. And the other one is that I often just don't like having my smartphone right next to me. Like if I'm going just out for a quick walk, I don't like having email or all that other random nonsense with me. I don't like having my smartphone next to my bed because then I can just grab it and check it as soon as I wake up. Or even just if I'm watching like a TV show or trying to read a book, I don't like having my smartphone on me. I basically like to just keep my smartphone somewhere tucked away unless I'm specifically going to use it either for listening to podcasts or music or for like navigating with maps or I'm traveling or something specific where the smartphone is uniquely useful. Another thing I featured in one of my videos is the habit tracking calendar and then also the pens you need to write on this thing. And basically I'll just fill this in with like a grid of however many habits I want to track and then tick them off. And I find, at least if I am in like a good mode and I want to track my habits, that it's really satisfying to have this thing on the wall, some prominent place in the apartment where I just see it all the time. I find it especially helpful for like smaller habits that I just kind of want to get done. Things like doing stretches or going for walks or meditation, because then I feel like motivated just to do it as soon as possible because it's just kind of like an easy check mark to get done. I also have this system where I have two different cups the pens are in. So when I finish a task, I also get to move it from the to-do cup to the done cup, which is like another layer of checking something off. Also, just the building of streaks is really powerful. And I think tracking your habits in this way gives you a more natural way to share it with others. And then that's like another way that keeps you motivated. Timular is another item on the list and also something I featured in a previous video. I think I mentioned pretty much all of these items at some point in a previous video. But Timular is basically this physical time tracking device, which helps you just kind of track how much time you're spending on different things. It has 8 different sides and then you just kind of give them different icons. And then there's this software which comes with it and you just place it on the side and then tracks your time. This is, again, a bit of an expensive thing for what it does. I think it costs like $70. There's basically a specific set of people who this might be interesting to. It's if you spend a lot of time on a computer and you're also interested in time tracking, either just for like personal productivity reasons, or maybe even more relevant, if you do like lots of different types of client work and you bill by the hour, then I would say this could be really useful. So I wouldn't just buy these and then expect to find some magical use for time tracking. But if you already are time tracking or you're interested in it, then it might be worth picking up. Because removing the hurdle of like having to open an app or like deal with this on software is, even though it's tiny each time, it definitely is noticeable and adds up just throughout the day. Like if you're switching tasks 20 different times a day and all you need to do here is just change a thing. I do also feel like there's something a bit more cathartic, I don't know if that's the right word, to make the physical change of like changing a task. So it's like, okay, now I'm doing this, but I'm done with that, and now I'm doing this. that you don't really get with an app. But yeah, only worthwhile getting if you really want to track your time. Last physical item on the list mentioned in my sleep videos is these blue light blocking glasses. Ta-da! It is hard to measure exactly how much of an impact these have because I mean, it's just one part of a lot of different influences when it comes to sleep. But even if it's just a tiny percentage of better sleep, sleep is just so important. And at least for me, it's so frustrating to not be able to sleep that I'm kind of willing to pay the price. Actually buying them is pretty cheap. I got 3 of these for $30, I think. And then also the price of like having everything be orange for the last 2 hours of your night, at least for me, isn't that bothersome. And even if there isn't like a huge physiological impact from these glasses, I would venture to guess that there might be some like Pavlovian or placebo effect where you just put this on every night before you go to bed for 2 hours and you just expect them to help you with your sleep, and that maybe just happens. I do also have these like much more expensive kind of fancy blue light blocking glasses. I'll put them on here. And I actually bought these before I got these other ones. And they don't block as much blue light, but they don't really impact vision at all. The main reason I decided to get these ones instead is because, first of all, I just want to block as much blue light as possible. I don't care that it's all orange. And the second part is that these ones, like the orange ones, are kind of like goggles. Like they're like wrapping around your eyes entirely, versus these are just like regular glasses. So it feels like if I'm like looking down or looking up or in all sorts of directions, that the blue light seeps in. And it probably doesn't have much of an impact, but I just noticed when I'm like walking around in my apartment with these things, or if I'm like sitting in a specific angle with a TV and I can feel the blue light coming in, it just bothers me, so I don't like it. There's 2 different softwares I'll mention as well. The first one is Focusmate. Focusmate is the service where you just get paired with someone else and you work on your own thing, but you hold each other accountable at the beginning and the end, and it kind of helps you focus. And the main reason I mention it is because it's just such a steal how cheap it is. It's like $5 a month and you can use it as much as you want. So for someone like me who has definitely had months where I've used Focusmate for like more than 100 hours, it feels like such a steal to have a product where I can use it for 100 hours in a month and it increases my productivity, and it just costs $5. The other one I'll mention is Cold Turkey, which isn't really something that you need to buy because I think you get the main features, which is like website blocking for free. But if you want some of the more advanced blocking features or to block apps, then I think you need to pay for it. It costs a decent amount for just an app. I think it's like $40, but it is also just a one-time fee you pay. And if you end up actually using it and getting use for it, then it very quickly pays for itself. Okay, so that was a quick run through of some of the more interesting and useful things I've purchased. I realized there's a bunch of other things I could have mentioned, like squat rack is definitely a great purchase, or a slow cooker. I will make a video at some point about meal prepping. But for now, I think these are fine. I will link to all the different things in the description, as well as all the different videos where I mention these different things. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.